Ladies and gentlemen, this is the National Cyber Champions Competition 2024 by Cyber Ghana. We are the Bishop Herman Cyber team. We were tasked with creating threat scenarios which would affect the systems used by the Electoral Commission of Ghana and also giving recommendations and security measures which could mitigate these threats before elections, during elections, and after elections. I am Solomon Atifo, presenting with
Dugbe Amos
and Mensa Erasmus.
Let's get into the presentation. We begin with the threat modeling. Our first threat scenario says an external hacker could use phishing attacks to gain remote access. If an external hacker gains remote access, it could have serious implications on the integrity of the transmission and collation of elections results by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Phishing attacks would affect the systems involved in transmitting and storing election data. This could potentially lead to the publication of false results. To mitigate this threat, you need to implement email authentication protocols, such as domain-based message authentication, to prevent phishing attacks. 2. An attacker could gain unauthorized write access to the web server. An attacker gaining unauthorized write access to the EC's web server is a concerning matter because it could affect the confidentiality, availability, and integrity of the EC's website. This attacker could change or manipulate any data on this website, potentially misleading voters before elections, during elections, and even after elections. To mitigate this threat, we need to regularly update and patch systems against known vulnerabilities. 3. A malicious insider could breach the database containing the voter registration information and leak its information. If the voter's registration information is leaked, it will lead to the exposure of voters' personal information, which are their login credentials. This could pave way for financial scams, potentially leading to the loss of trust in the electoral process. To mitigate this threat, we need to secure databases with strong access controls and encryptions. 4. An insider with privileged access to the elections management systems and databases could be bribed or otherwise influenced. If an insider with privileged access to these systems were to be bribed, it will pose as a significant threat to the integrity of the electoral process. This attacker could change or alter any information in the electoral database or even compromise the security of the systems. To mitigate this threat, we need to conduct regular and background audits of the collating systems to help detect any suspicious behavior. Our last scenario says a malicious insider could gain control of a WhatsApp group used to coordinate election volunteers. If a malicious insider gains control of a WhatsApp group, he could share misinformation or false news to these election volunteers, potentially leading to inaccurate information being sent to the electoral database. This will compromise the integrity of the electoral process. To mitigate this threat, you need to conduct regular security and awareness programs and implement multi-factor authentication to prevent account takeover. Emozebi, over to you.
Now, moving on with the measures to be taken before the 2024 election. Our first point is to enforce antivirus on all systems. Now, antiviruses like McAfee defend against cyber threats that may compromise sensitive information like voter data and then election results. This is going to improve protection against cyber and then malware attacks. Our second point is to access security postures. Now, the EC has to employ cybersecurity experts who have specialized skills and knowledge to identify and mitigate risks that can compromise the integrity and then transparency of the election. This act will enhance protection against cyber attacks during the election. Our next point is to develop an incident response plan. Now, this incident response plan is going to provide the Electoral Commission with a structured approach to which they can identify, respond to, and recover from any threat that might arise in the course of the election. Our next point also is to implement monitoring solutions. These monitoring solutions are going to serve as real-time monitoring to any activity at all related to the election, and then swiftly respond to any suspicious or unauthorized access. Our next point also is to implement aware programs. The staff of the Electoral Commission has to be educated on how to identify and swiftly respond to risk that may arise during the election. All this is to ensure the integrity and transparency of the election. Erasmus Mensa will take us through measures to be taken during the election.
Security measures during the election. First point, ensure robust verification processes. Once the identity of the voter has been confirmed, the electoral officer could confirm and verify the electoral to vote. This can be done by checking the electoral roll against the voter's name to ensure that the voter has been registered and has not voted yet. Point 2, establish Security Operations Center. The Electoral Commission of Ghana needs to establish a Security Operations Center which they are going to use to monitor the activities during the election and enhance the ability to detect and respond to cyber threats. Point 3, deploy security information and event system management. Since there will be cyber attacks and other forms of attacks during the election, the EC should deploy security information management events that they are going to use to monitor and analyze and also respond to any form of cyber attacks during the election. Dr. Amos will take us from this point.
Now, finally, measures to be taken after the election. Our first point is to conduct a post-election audit. Now, there's definitely going to be uncertainties regarding the integrity of the election, which means that not everyone is going to trust that the election went on smoothly. For this reason, an audit must be conducted. This audit is going to validate results and highlight irregular acts that took place during the election. This will help the EC know what actually went on during the election. Our next point is to share post-election audit report. Since the members of the EC and the public would like to know what really went on during the election, the report generated from the audit conducted can be shared with relevant stakeholders like the Electoral Commission officials and the public for them to be aware of what actually went on during the election. This will enhance confidence among the Electoral Commission officials and the public at large. In conclusion, all recommendations mentioned from threat scenario before election, during election, and then after election is to ensure the transparency and integrity of our election. Together, we can safeguard the foundation of our 2024 elections. Thank you.